Today's video is going to be about Arctic Fox in the color Iris Green. I have my swatches labeled 1 through 12, but that is not synonymous with hair levels. I'll be doing close-ups and clips at the end of the video, so the numbers are just to help us keep track. 1 is pink, red and green are across from each other on the color wheel, so I wanted to see what pink would do with the green. 2 is gray, 3 is a natural red, 4 is black, and then from 4 to 11 we have a range that goes to platinum blonde, and then number 12 is supposed to be like a toned version of number 11. Today I'm noticing that the 9 almost looks a little bit lighter than the 10, but on the back of each swatch, I don't know if you can see it, I hope it's in frame, they're numbered. So that's how I keep track of which is which, and usually the darker colors are smaller numbers and then lighter colors go up, so technically they're in the right order, but even if I switched them, I don't know if it would make any sense. So these are human hair, but they are not virgin hair, except number 4. That one is virgin hair, but the rest are not. I'll be taking the dye directly from the container and I'll put it at the top of each swatch. And then some people do like to dilute their dyes, so I'll be doing a diluted version at the bottom of each swatch. Please keep in mind that everyone's hair is different, which means everyone's hair will take dye differently. So just use my video more so as a reference as to how it could possibly turn out for you. For the diluted section, we're going to be doing equal parts. So same part of dye as you would use for diluter. If you're not sure what diluter is, short answer is that it lightens the color of the dye essentially. And if you're wondering, I always just use a plain white conditioner for diluting. I'm going to let these sit for about 3 hours. I'll rinse them out and let them dry, and then I'll meet you back here and we can do some comparisons. So I would say that this is more of a mid-tone green. Neverland from Arctic Fox would be like a pastel. This would be mid-tone. And then Phantom from Arctic Fox would be a dark green. As for number 1 and 3, it's interesting because the dye definitely did color the hair. But especially on number 1, I wouldn't say it like covered that well. I don't think the pink and the green are right at the same tone so that they neutralize each other either. So it's still kind of green, but not quite green enough to cover the pink. I think it personally looks the best on the number 2, 11, and 12 swatch. It doesn't really look bad on 9 and 10. Having the light hair underneath really helps the color to shine through a lot better. And then on the number 2 swatch, it looks the most cool tone as usual, and therefore usually looks a little bit darker as well than like the number 11 swatch, for example. Now, I haven't really done any greens quite like this on my channel, so for comparisons, I don't really have anything right now. So instead, I wanted to compare colors that we already have for Arctic Fox. And I remember when I was doing the Aquamarine and Neon Moon mix, I really thought that's what Iris Green would look like. Spoiler, it does not, but I will still show it to you guys because I promised I would. This is comparable to number 12. This is comparable to number 11. And this is comparable to number 10. So I remember thinking that this part with a little bit more of the Neon Moon is the one that looked like Iris Green, but obviously compared to each other now, there's definitely really no similarity. Even if I turn it around, there's just way too much blue from the Aquamarine to say that they're similar. I would say Iris Green to me looks like a kind of like a spring green, but a little bit more muted. I'm not really sure where I got the idea from though. I really thought that this is what Iris Green was supposed to look like, but alas, I was not correct. The other comparison I wanted to do is Neverland from Arctic Fox. This is comparable to number 12. This is comparable to number 11. And this is comparable to number 10. So like I said, Neverland is very pastel. And even though I said that Iris Green is a tad bit muted, the Neverland, in my opinion, is even more muted. When I wanted to compare these, I actually wanted to compare this to the diluted section. Because honestly, to me, on the number 11 swatch, I feel like they're not that far off. Like I said, I feel like it's just more so that the Neverland is more muted, but I feel like they're a similar type of green. So I do feel like if you do like a more pastel green, if you like the more muted, I would say go for Neverland. Slightly less muted would be the Iris Green diluted. And also, if your hair doesn't take pastels as well, the Iris Green might be a better option because you could dilute it just a little bit and probably still get a pastel look on your hair. Whereas you can see the Neverland, it does look really nice on the 11, but just getting to the number 10, it already looks like a faded, not very pigmented color. Whereas Iris Green did a pretty good job of dyeing the number 10. If you have the same color as number 10, you probably can't do pastels anyways, but more so if you have resistant hair. You can just see how pigmented the Iris Green is compared to Neverland. So of course, if I do any similar greens to this, I will definitely do comparisons for those in the future. But for now, I wanted to get into the close-ups, or otherwise known as the before and after clips. And I do just want to say that those clips, as well as any pictures you'll see at the end, will all be done in natural lighting. And I'm sure you're aware, but sometimes replicating the exact same environment with natural lighting can be difficult, so if anything looks slightly off, that is probably why. I hope this video helped. If you have a request, I do have a link below to a Google form you can fill out. Just remember, I only do dyes that are not tested on animals. I will have the videos linked below, as well as my swatches if you're interested in using them for yourself. Thank you to my patrons, and thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.